Hi fantasy managers, welcome to FPL Team Talk. In this video I'm going to go through my wildcard side for game week 22. We'll look at the double game weeks coming up in 22 and 23, plus also take into account that blank game week in game week 25. As usual, we'll take a statistical analysis of all the players and at the end go through some different options. So if you enjoy these types of videos, give it a like, don't forget to subscribe, and in the meantime, let's have a look. There might be many different reasons that you're looking to wildcard at the moment. It may be that you've had players that have been transferred out during the window, i.e. Cancelo. Maybe you've got injuries like the likes of Reece James, players not playing, being rotated out the side. There isn't any particular number of transfers or hits that you should take in order to make your side or not wildcard. It may be that you just want to position yourself for the double game weeks in 22 and 23 and you can't do that without taking quite a few hits. It may also be that you're worried about the League Cup and game week 25. So your overall strategy will really need to depend on whether you wildcard now or not. Remember, there's only probably 16, 17 game weeks until the end of the season. So if you need to take hits to get to the side you want, there is no particular amount that you should take. I'd say if you're going to take a 12 or 14, 16 point hit, maybe that's too many. So you can consider wildcard. So with that in mind, let's have a look at the side that I've put together. Now, I definitely wanted to put in a Manchester City defender in. However, the only player that I'll be certainly sure of playing is Ederson. He's going to be in the side then in goal. Double game week in 23 coming up. I think the fixtures beyond that look pretty good. And quite frankly, I just want the security of knowing he's a set and forget that I've got a Man City player in that defence covered. He's there, 5.4. I think it's worth paying the money for. Alongside him, I'm just going to go with Ward as well. I don't think he would be playing too many games for me alongside in defence, but for 4 million, a playing goalkeeper, if anything happens to Ederson, he comes in. And also, I think it would just be a set and forget for Ederson at 5.4 for me. In defence, pretty straightforward in terms of who I'd go. First of all, I think I have to go for Kieran Trippier playing the way he is. He's playing for a very good defence at the moment, 6.1. I'm pretty happy to pay that sort of money for him as well. He's also got a great XGI of 0.42. Fixtures look decent. He is blanking in game week 25, so that is worth taking into consideration. And we will take a look at that later on. But you will have transfers in the meantime to make up for that. West Ham at home, Bournemouth away, Newcastle just been brilliant. They lost one game all season. And look at that, 8 points, 9 points, 8 points. And his attacking goal and threat is really good. His expected goal involvement, 0.42. So you can see, you compare that to likes of Robertson and James, who I know isn't playing at the moment, but he's right up there with the best of him. So Trippier just has to play for me, even if he has that blank game week in 25. Alongside him, White, I think he came off at half-time in the last game. Not particularly worried. He's played every game up until then for Arsenal, and I just think I shouldn't worry about that too much. He was on a yellow card, so there was maybe a bit of tactics behind him coming off. 4.7, he looks good to me. Double game week in 23 as well. Brentford at home, Man City. Arsenal, arguably the best defence this season. Goal threat hasn't got a great deal. I'm not expecting too many returns in respect to that, but just I want an Arsenal defender in now. I've got Man City defence, I've got Arsenal, and I've got Newcastle covered, so that looks good to me. So Ben White comes into that defence for me as well. Alongside him, I've thrown a bit of a curveball. I think with Van Dijk out, Matip is also doubtful. Gomez has been getting games, hardly a goal threat there, but decent fixtures. Wolves, Everton. Then you've got Newcastle, Palace, not particularly easy, but 4.3, very cheap way into that Liverpool defence. I know they've not been great. I don't think there's many other defenders that I would trust at this moment in time, and definitely open to options. If you think in the comments below there is someone that I should be going that'd be better than Gomez, by all means. But the next two games, 4.3, I think he's worth a punt. Not going to get me many attacking returns, I know. 4.3, Wolves away, Everton at home. I think there's a good chance for a clean sheet in both of those matches. As we can see, just doesn't offer anything going forward. You look at the likes of Trent, James, much better in terms of their goal threat. Fourth person that will go make up in my defence, I think I have to go Luke Shaw. Yes, he blanks in 25, which is an issue, but that double game week coming up against Palace and Leeds, and then Leeds away, Leicester at home, good fixtures. Defensively, they look pretty good at the moment, Leicester City as well. 0.17, if he's playing as a fullback, which we expect him to, He offers a bit more goal threat than that. Recently conceded goals, but they've had some tough fixtures. For a double game week, he looks absolutely nailed in that defence. Oh, I really like him. He's really gone up in value as well. 5.3. There are cheaper options, but I think for the security and the attacking threat, I think Luke Shaw's definitely worth it. He's been hoovering up those bonus points as well in some of the games coming up recently. Finally, the last one, and this is a little bit contentious. I think he's got really good fixtures, but again, he blanks in 25. Which does cause an issue because of their fixture being called off. I think it's Newcastle they are playing. 4.5, Estepinian got a couple of assists in the last game, didn't keep the clean sheet. 0.17, a little bit of a goal threat. 4.5, I think it's a really good way into that Brighton defence, and he looks pretty nailed as well. I really like him. Home to Bournemouth, home to Fulham, at home to West Ham next 5. It's just how do you get around game week 25, and we'll look at that later on. But alongside Estepinian, same issues, but again, I think the short-term gain with Matoma is just there. 5.1, really cheap, great XGI. It's 8.6 points, 10 points, and again, good fixture at home to Bournemouth. I don't really want to miss out on that. Given he's got the same XGI as De Bruyne, look at that, he's above Saka, bordered on Salah, and you just pay a fraction of the price. I think he looks really good. He passes the eye test. Brighton on good form at the moment as well. You'd fancy them to get goals against Bournemouth, Palace and Fulham. All of those fixtures you expect him to score, and you would expect Matoma to be in and a part of those. Looks a really good signing. I definitely want him in the side. Alongside Matoma, we would have, if I can remember who it is, Andreas. I think as a budget option, 4.5. He has to be in there still. Rumour possibly that he's taken over from penalties because Mitrovic conceded last or missed the last couple. Have to wait and see. I'm not convinced about that. He'd be a bench option, but then maybe at home to Forest, Wolves, potentially you could play him. Still good, I think, just as an all-out guaranteed safety net on the bench, 4.5 million. In terms of his expected joy, he still looks pretty good. Picking up the odd assist as well. I still think he's good at 4.5. I don't think there's many better around his mark at the moment that's fit and available to play. So Andreas makes it into the side. Rashford, for obvious reasons, I just think absolutely on fire. I'm not going to go into reasons why. I think his captaincy opportunity this week as well. Palace and Leeds at home. He definitely has to come in for obvious reasons. I don't think I need to explain too much about that. KDB as well, nailed in the midfield for Man City. Could go Mahrez, and we'll look at that later on. Again, his expected goal, maybe he's a little bit expensive for what he's getting, but he's picking up points in terms of just ticking over with assists in the last couple of games. But I do want a Man City player, especially when you consider they double in 23. And I don't think there's many players that are nailed. Mahrez is an option. It feels like Pep at any given time can just rotate. Foden can come in, Grealish can start playing more games. And I just don't think you can trust Mahrez to be completely nailed in that Man City side. So De Bruyne gets the nod for me, especially when considering I think you do have the budget in this side to do that. And then finally, Arsenal midfield, Odegaard nailed, really on form, 0.63, picking up goals and assists, has to be in the side, especially when they got that double game week in 23. And then we move into midfield. The other bonus with the Arsenal players is they play in 25, as do Manchester City. Haaland, not going to go into that. Double game week, plays in 25. You just play him anyway. Probably the only time I wouldn't captain, I think, in 20 is this week when we got Rashford, because he's simply got a double game week and Haaland's away at Tottenham. Then we're going to go in Nketiah. That makes my 3 Arsenal players. Again, same fixtures, really played well. We can't expect him to keep up that XG of 0.99. If he gets anywhere near that, it'd be really good. But considering Jesus at the moment, Trossard looks like he's playing out on the left and will share time with Martinelli, which leaves it clear for Nketiah to keep playing up front. 6.7 just feels like an absolute bargain. And a player that will make up this final 15, I think it's pretty obvious. You've got the money. In comes Harry Kane. Difficult fixture this week. Possibly, I've got him with a very similar side. I might end up benching him, but the fixtures going forward after that look really good. And his goal involvement absolutely brilliant. 0.85, just keeps on form and keeps scoring. He's so consistent and so good. That makes up my 15. Let's have a look at different options as to who else you could bring in. So this is the side in all of its entirety, all 15. The squad value comes up as 101.1 million. So it should be within most of our budgets. Bearing in mind some of these players you might have money invested in already. So you may actually be able to afford slightly more than this. The one thing that makes me slightly uncomfortable with this side, going up to game week 25, I think it looks brilliant. But when we hit game week 25, we've got the EFL Cup final, Newcastle, Manchester United, Brentford and Brighton were all blank. Now in this side you've got 5 players, so you can put 3 on the bench, and the 3 that I would be keeping are definitely going to be Trippier, Shaw and Rashford, which means Estepinian and Matoma would have to be transferred out. Now you could just save 2 transfers in the meantime and do that, that's fine. But if anything else crops up, any other injuries, suspensions, things like that, then that kind of leaves you in a position where you don't want to have to take a hit, especially when you've wildcarded just 3 key weeks before. So it could be possible that you just start, instead of Estepinian, someone else instead. That just leaves you Matoma. And I think I would rather go Matoma than Estepinian. Mings is the obvious choice. He would just be benched, I think, until game week 25 when he has a good fixture in game week 25. Saves you some money as well. They've got tough games coming up before that, Aston Villa. But again, you'd only be interested in him for game week 25. The other one as well is Bueno. I would prefer to go, I think, a Wolves centre-back in Kilman or Collins. But with Dawson now being signed, not really sure which one of those centre-backs is going to be missing out. I would always go for the other one if I knew which one was going to play in. Kilman's playing every minute, but is Collins preferred over Kilman? Just hard to know at the moment. Bueno looks a safer bet, and he is very cheap, but a lot could change between now and game week 25, and you'd only really be bringing him in for that game. If you prefer to keep Estepinian as a defender and wanted to get rid of Matoma, there's not many choices, I'm afraid. I've got De Bruyne. You could definitely downgrade to Morris. That will give you money and more choice for Matoma. The only thing I don't like about doing that is that Morris seems really explosive and exciting and a nice differential, I just don't know if I can trust Pep in terms of Foden was on a great run of form before the World Cup, and suddenly he just got put to one side and benched and didn't really make it, didn't come back into the side. It's the same thing going to happen to Mahrez. I don't know, you've got Grealish and Foden waiting in the wings. It just feels De Bruyne is a much safer bet, but look at the amount of money you could save. So I couldn't blame you if you want to go to Mahrez. Personally, I think I'll just have a safer pair of hands in De Bruyne. If you didn't want to go Odegaard, I think my preferred choice is definitely Saka. At 8.2, he's a bit more expensive and I couldn't afford him in this side. Odegaard's a perfectly good option. Saka plays a bit further forward. And he's on penalty, so he just gets the nod for me if money was not an issue. Obviously, if you downgraded to Mahrez, suddenly you've got that option of Saka. The other one instead of Matoma that you could possibly consider, feels like I've had my fingers burnt with him, and a horrible, it's almost a dirty word in FPL if you had him at the start of the season. He had a good pre-season, didn't really live up to the hype in the first few weeks. And he just 4.5. I think he's still a good option. The fixture looks good in 25, difficult before them. If you want to go him instead of Matoma, I don't think that would be a bad move at all, and it saves you the headache of what to do in game week 25. That's it for this one then, guys. Let me know in the comments below what you think of the side. Is there anyone that you think I am missing that should definitely be in there? Do you have a strategy for getting through game week 25? In the meantime, we'll be back at you with a team selection before the deadline, so make sure you catch us on that. So don't forget to like it, hit subscribe, and I shall speak to you soon.